Hi everyone, Sally here. How are you doing today? Welcome to Menopause Mindset Monday. This is the place to learn how to have a better menopause transition using the power of our mindset. So I hope you're doing well today. I hope you've had a lovely weekend. If any of you saw my Insta stories, you will see that I went off on a boat to the Rampion Wind Farm yesterday, which was so nice. It was a really fast boat as well, so I got some good velocity effects. I really like speed. I don't like going around corners, but I do like a bit of speed. Right, so let me know how you're doing. Leave a comment, pop a comment in. Just to say, I've got my plumber here today as well, so if you hear some banging in the background, that's why. I'm having a new shower fitted. So today's topic is called 8 Mistakes You're Making When It Comes to Menopause. So full transparency here. The basics of my points that I'm giving you today are from an account on Instagram called My Moonbox. So what I thought I would do was give them to you and flesh them out a little bit. And if you want to go and follow that account on Instagram, then by all means, go for it. So I'm going to go through all of these, and as always, I'm saving the best till last, so please watch to the end. And also, I have got a really exciting announcement to make. This is not just exciting, this is really exciting. Okay, so please watch to the end. All right, so here we go. 8 mistakes you're making when it comes to your menopause. Number 1. Actually, this one is my one. This is not from my Moonbox, just to say. So many women do actually fear going on HRT. So this is, one mistake that I think that many women are making, this fear of going on HRT. A lot of women want to do it the natural way, and I think that's really commendable. And to be honest with you, that was me. When I first started learning about peri to postmenopausal wellness, the course that I didn't particularly talk a lot about HRT. It was more about all the natural things that you could do, which was great. So I think I ended up with a little bit of bias against HRT, full transparency here. And then 3 months ago, I decided that I was going to just go to the doctors and see if there was anything that they could do for me. Really open about it, didn't sort of go with any preconceived ideas. And I had a very sympathetic advanced nurse practitioner who put me on the most amazing HRT called Body Identicals. So I think we need to just be really open. And plus, I wanted to experience it for myself. As a menopause coach, or menopause mindset coach, I wanted to experience what HRT was like. I wanted to see what the fuss was about, which is a bit risky strategy, but it's been absolutely amazing, I have to say. Now, I recently heard a statistic from Dr. Louise Newson, who is a menopause specialist with her own centre in Stratford-upon-Avon. I heard on a podcast that she said that even the worst type of HRT is less likely to give you breast cancer than drinking 2 glasses of wine a night. So, how many of us drink wine in the evening to relax or to settle down? It gives us that false sense of security, doesn't it? So I think we really need to sort of manage our expectations and really understand that perhaps the scaremongering around HRT, which was really rife in the 80s, was perhaps misdirected. Perhaps it came from the patriarchy, let's face it, who perhaps don't have a vested interest in women feeling good. Maybe that's a bit conspiratorial. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but I know there was a lot of scaremongering in the 80s around HRT. So really don't fear going on it. There's some really good medications out there, and I'm on the Body Identical, and I wanted to show you what it looks like. So this is the estradiol, which is the estrogen side of it, and this is the utrogestan, which is the progesterone side of it. So you can take up to 4 pumps of this. I started on like half a pump, then went up to a whole pump. Now I'm on 2 pumps. So you take that all through the month, you rub it on your skin, and it goes in through your skin. So your skin is such a porous organ, and it goes directly into your bloodstream, unlike the pill form, which has to go through your digestive system and can upset the liver a little bit. So this is why this is so good. It's so easy. It's so easy to use. You can rub it on your arm, your outside of your arm, or you can rub it on your inner thigh. And then you take, well, it's different for everyone, but I take 2 of these from day 14 to day 28 or 26, the day that I start my period. And it's from plants. It's from yam. I think this is micronized from yam. I'm not sure what this comes from, where it's derived, but it's plant-based. So it's all body identical. They're called body identical HRT. It's the best type of HRT that you can get without paying for bioidenticals, which are more expensive because they are more, you get the dose that your body actually requires. This is more of a generic dose. And I believe that the product itself is more natural. So this is just estradiol, and the body identical is estradiol and estriol as well. So yeah, like, do your research, but ask if you do want to try HRT, just ask for the body identicals. Yeah, Dr. Louise Newson says that 20% of women are on the 20% of women have estrogen as a patch or gel, which is the body identical, whereas it should be that 20% of women have the pill form. So, the more we ask, the more demand that we create for it. So please don't fear going on HRT. It's for me, it's been a game changer, and it's natural. It's just like, because it's identical to your body, it's just like taking a herb or a supplement, really. It's not chemical. It's not coming from a source that is outside of yourself. Well, it is, but it's not a fake source. It's not chemical. All right. So number 2 is the caveat to number 1. So many women depend on HRT or supplements without addressing diet and lifestyle. This is mistake number 2. So HRT is a really, really good place to start if you are being debilitated by your symptoms. And it gives you an opportunity to then start working on your diet and your lifestyle. So I would imagine, that being that debilitated by your menopausal symptoms is really going to have an effect on your ability to exercise, to prepare good foods for yourself, and to sleep well and to manage your stress. So the HRT is a really good way of being able to get your symptoms under control so that you can then start working on the diet and lifestyle management. So with supplements, I've seen a lot of women on many Facebook groups say things like, what's going to work for my bloating, or what's going to work for my joints, or what can I take for my PMS. And the truth is, this really is about looking at, supplements are just that. Supplements supplement your diet. So this is about looking at the diet itself and looking about removing the toxic substances that you might be ingesting, non-organic foods containing a lot of pesticides, aluminium deodorants or deodorants that contain aluminium, perfumes, toxic, sulfates in shampoos and cleansing products and things like that. So we really want to remove before we start adding in. Hey Anna, thanks for the compliment. Yeah, loving a bit of yellow today. Not that I need any more solar plexus energy, but it just popped out of the cupboard. Yes, this is about removing and then taking a whole body and whole lifestyle approach. So it's about looking at your lifestyle from every angle that you can look at, really. So, your nutrition will affect your sleep, but your sleep will also affect your appetite. So it's about going in somewhere and breaking that cycle. And your mindset will affect your stress levels, which will affect your joints and your muscles, which will affect your ability to exercise. So most things you can trace back down to mindset. And that's why I really love working with the whole mindset, because so many blocks come up. You know, we talk ourselves into certain reasons why we can't do exercise, or we can't cook for ourselves, or we can't behave in this way, or we're getting blocked in our confidence because of a certain belief that we have about ourselves. So mindset is everything, and mindset and emotional responses and reactions tends to be the root of it all. Yeah. So when it comes to diet and lifestyle, I'm not talking about removing all of life's little pleasures, like the odd glass of wine or the odd little bit of dark chocolate or a little bit of cake every now and again. What I'm talking about here is the daily consumption of chocolate, crisps, biscuits, sweets, cakes, white bread, potatoes, chips, things like that. Because if you're still eating a lot of this stuff, then there's really not much point in adding supplements on top of that. So in functional medicine, a functional medicine approach would look at, removing all of that stuff first. They might add one or two little things to help your liver or your digestion, but we really do need to look at the whole approach, because your body is working really, really hard when it's trying to detoxify, when it's it's fighting all the time against the incoming sugar or carbs or the incoming stress, or the incoming alcohol. So it's just working hard to get rid of those things. So you might as well just help it by not ingesting those things in the first place. So number 3, another mistake that many women make when it comes to their menopause and their menopausal symptoms is self-diagnosing with the internet, with Dr. Google. And this was so me. So for about 5 years, I would say that I was just going online to investigate this symptom and that symptom. So it's like, God, what's wrong with me, And then I'd be like, I found it. It's depression. And then I'd be like, I found it. It's insulin resistance. Or I found it. It's adrenal dysfunction. I found it. It's estrogen dominance. When the truth is it was probably all of those things, but the diagnosis really was perimenopause. And then what makes perimenopausal symptoms worse is obviously the diet and lifestyle, but it's the childhood trauma and the beliefs about oneself. So always asking why. And so diagnosing with Dr. Google, it's really understandable that we do this. So we do this because we want to know, like, as human beings, we have a need for certainty, don't we? Like, we really love feeling certain. That's why the whole COVID-19 thing was really difficult, because nobody knew. We still don't know what the economic landscape's going to look like. So when it comes to our health, we want to know even more, like, why. And I don't know about you, but I find that diagnosing with Dr. Google gives me a certain amount of reassurance, but it doesn't actually solve the problem. So yeah, we need to test. And this is where a functional medicine practitioner or a health coach comes in. So test, don't guess. There are many kind of private tests you can get done. When it comes to, a lot of doctors don't really like testing for menopause because the hormones change so much, and you can't really get a complete generalization. It just gives you a snapshot into that window of time that you had that test done. So really your symptoms are an indication of what's going on, rather than necessarily the blood test. Testing is good though. I had a Dutch test done a couple of years ago, and it really did give me an insight into what was going on with my hormones. It's expensive. It cost me like £250 for a Dutch test, but I did think it was worth it. You can also test for your DNA as well, like finding out where you come from, what your ancestral lineage is, which will give you an idea into what kind of foods are good for you, or what kind of foods your body metabolizes easily. So some people can metabolize coffee, some people can metabolize sugar easier than others. So that's sort of based on your ancestral lineage as well. And you can buy that. I've just bought one from Living DNA. I think it cost me like £69 or something. Haven't got the results back yet because with COVID-19, everything that looked like a swab got sort of quarantined, I think, in the post. But yeah, try not to self-diagnose with Dr. Google. Like speak to a specialist. Definitely better to speak to a specialist. So number 4 then is self-prescribing herbs and supplements. So many women make this mistake of self-prescribing. And I don't know about you, but this was me. I used to spend so much money on supplements. You know, you go into the health food shop and you see this array of supplements, don't you? And you get excited. You're like, what can I buy? I remember one year spending like 300 quid on these supplements. I think it was like New Year's Day or you know, that burst of energy that you get after the Christmas period for health. And I went to the Whole Foods store in South Kensington and spent a fortune on supplements. I only took them for a month. But when I've been doing it with a health coach, for example, or a functional medicine practitioner, you've got a protocol. You know what you're supposed to be taking because you've had the tests and you're doing it with someone. So you're getting handheld. And I always think that when you try to do these things by yourself, it doesn't work. Like I've got quite a few bottles of supplements that have just not been used up. So it's important to get the help that you need. And also to take them in conjunction with diet and lifestyle. You have to. You can't just be taking supplements because you've got a shit lifestyle, you know, because you're drinking at the weekend, and it's just not going to have the impact. Those things will have the impact once your body has more of balance about it. So number 5, many women treat the symptom instead of the root cause. And this, I think, is where I come in because this is the whole idea behind the menopause mindset. Midlife and menopause is a time when we get a whole host of physical symptoms and we get this marvelous opportunity to ask why. Why is this happening? It can't just be random. Like things don't just happen randomly to the body. I know that somebody I knew had their gallbladder removed and they were like, oh yeah, it's just random. Like, no, it's not. There's a reason why, and it's to do with digestion, it's to do with stress, it's to do with blood sugar, it's to do with metabolism. There's a whole host of stuff going on underneath the surface. So, you know, if we're treating the symptom and not the root, the symptom's going to come back or another symptom's going to creep in somewhere. So we do need to look at the root. And the root is usually some kind of habit, behavior that we're not addressing, some kind of lifestyle thing, some kind of diet thing, some kind of sleep issue, some kind of relationship issue, some kind of toxicity in the diet or with our relationships, some kind of self-sabotage that's going on because you're not able to prioritize your self-care. Unexpressed emotions. That is a massive issue when it comes to symptoms. So what we find is that the body is the last place, that's the final place where the symptoms, where the emotional stuff manifests. So, you know, the emotions can be lingering in the emotional body and we're feeling depression or we're feeling anxiety. But if those things perpetuate for long enough, they will eventually hit the body. I like to think of them sort of out here and they're gradually coming in. You know, like I have this thing sometimes in the evening where I get like stomach cramps. And I realise that it's to do with, especially in social situations, and I realise it's to do with the fact that I perform when I'm out and about or perform with people in social situations. And I think this cramping is like, it's like a holding on. So it's, yeah, or this like need to, yeah, this holding on to a persona when actually I just need to relax and let go. And I think that's because I've always had a performance background. But there's a reason why I went into performance, because I used to think it was going to give me the self-validation that I didn't have originally, if you know what I mean. So yeah, we can trace these things back. It's about having an inquiring mind, being curious and asking lots of questions, really. So many people look for a quick fix solution over a long-lasting one. Yeah. Now, of course, it is okay to take quick fixes. I will take a paracetamol. I will take an ibuprofen if I've got a headache that I can't shift. I will take a Buscopan if I've really got bad IBS and I need something. I don't think it's wrong to take those things. They can be absolutely life-saving, but alongside the quick fixes that make our life better, we need to be asking those questions. It's about thinking deeper, really. Yes. So, number 6. I've pretty much said this already, but expecting a quick fix versus long-term sustainable habits. That's another mistake that many menopausal women make, is expecting that quick fix, especially when it comes to things like your hot flushes, your insomnia, your anxiety. They're looking for the beta blocker. I've taken beta blockers. They've been a great solution, but what's underneath that? What are you worrying about? And the hot flushes, that's like, it's an inflammatory sort of response. It's like a power surge. It's like a heat. So of course, HRT is brilliant for hot flushes and night sweats, but why not look underneath that and go, what unresolved anger have I got going? What am I rage for? What am I feeling that rage against? It's no wonder so many women have hot flushes, when you look at how much we have been suppressed over the years. Like, it's all coming out, and it's coming out physically as well. It's really, really interesting. Okay, I've gone right off track here. Number 7, one of the mistakes that women make when it comes to their menopause is not managing their stress levels. This is a big one, and this really comes back down to the idea that you deserve it. You deserve to feel relaxed. And I think many women, I don't know if you feel like this, but many women feel like, and men as well, let's face it, feel like they just have to keep going. And it's not your fault, because it's been programmed into us that we have to keep going, that we can't stop. There's always that competition. But rest is part of the work. And, there's this other thing as well, that sometimes we don't even realize we're stressed. That's why we keep going. Because we've got so familiar, that stress has become so familiar that the cortisol, the adrenaline that we're functioning on, we think that's just, I feel awake, I feel energized, I feel alive. But actually, it's adrenaline and cortisol that's making you feel like that. Natural relaxation can actually feel like lethargy to begin with. I know, like on a Saturday and a Sunday, if I'm not working, I don't have that adrenaline and cortisol. I'm sort of a bit flatlined. Whew. And Graham often says to me, maybe you're just relaxed. I'm like, yeah, maybe I am. Maybe that's what relaxation feels like. But natural energy, natural sort of vibrancy, I don't think we're used to feeling that, which is a really weird sort of sensation. So, yeah, it's important to manage our stress levels and to really acknowledge that it's available to us, to acknowledge that it's okay to take time out for ourselves, and that for our menopause, we really need to do this. We really, really do. It's hugely important. So I put it in midlife. Yeah, no, I've said all of that anyway. So let's look at number 8. Many women overlook the importance of gut health. Gut health is really important because this is where the sort of cleansing process is happening. The gut is where we sort of eliminate estrogen from. If we don't have great gut health, we're not going to be able to flush out the excess estrogen from the body, and the estrogen then gets reabsorbed into the body, and then we end up with estrogen dominance. So if you are having symptoms of estrogen dominance, then you really need to look at your gut health. So estrogen dominance looks like bloating, gas, water retention, headaches, that sort of puffy feeling. It can look like fibroids. It can look like endometriosis. It's all the sort of growthy things that estrogen dominance looks like. So that's why we need to have great gut health. We need the estrobolome in the gut to be balanced. The estrobolome is the microbiome in the gut which will feed on that estrogen, sort of, help to eliminate it. So sugar is really bad for our gut health. Sugar feeds the yeast. If we've got a yeast overgrowth, it's not going to be great. We're going to be bloated, we're going to be gassy, and we actually crave more sugar because the little microbes in the gut that want the sugar to feed on, they're asking you for it. So that's why, the more yeast you have in your body, the more sugar you want. So we really need to break that cycle, get rid of the white refined stuff, really. And also things like white bread, white carbs, white pasta, obviously cakes, biscuits, stuff like that. They're not treats. We label them as treats, but we've got to stop labeling them as treats and really just tell it as it is, So Anna said that gut issues just started for me this year. Oh, that's interesting. Do you think that's in connection with your perimenopause? Do you think that your perimenopause has started making your gut health worse? Because actually, estrogen can be gut protective as well. When we don't have the estrogen, it's not looking after our gut as well. So we can end up with gut dysbiosis and things like that. Stress can lead to gut dysbiosis. Ibuprofen can lead to gut dysbiosis. Excess sugar can lead to it. Gut dysbiosis is when the cell junctions of the gut lining are not they're not connected properly, and you end up with a gap, and you can sort of leak out bacteria, micronutrients back into the bloodstream, and it can make you feel really shitty and sort of toxic, really. So yeah, and alcohol doesn't help this as well. So the main things that we need to look at really are, plants, eating more plants, looking at, increasing our soluble fiber, our insoluble fiber. Sometimes with IBS-like symptoms, though, we have to be careful with fiber because it can irritate the gut lining even more. So this is where having a personalized approach comes in. The more personalized you can get when it comes to your menopause symptoms, the better. I'm really working with your doctor. If you can't afford a functional medicine practitioner, see if you can work with your doctor. I'm sure, they will be sympathetic to some of this stuff if you find the right one. So let's just have a recap then. The mistakes that a lot of women are making when it comes to their menopause are fearing HRT, just not realizing that it's available to them, being like, oh my God, I'm never going to go on HRT because of all that scaremongering in the past. My mother never went on HRT and she could have really benefited from it. Looking at the wrong types of information as well when it comes to HRT. So bear in mind that, we all have biases, and I had a bias for many, many years that I was only ever going to do things naturally. So when I started looking more and more into the menopause, I came across doctors who were advocating the use of HRT, and I thought, well, let's have a look at this, and I'm glad I did, because with the bioidentical stuff, you can actually be on it for your whole life. You can be on it until the day you die. It's sort of, I equate it like a vitamin supplement, really. As long as you go back for your checkups, obviously, when you get your repeat prescription, you will have to have a checkup anyway. But yeah. Number 2, many women depend on HRT and vitamin supplements as a fix instead of addressing lifestyle and diet and mindset and clearing out all that childhood trauma. Many women self-diagnose using the internet and Dr. Google. Please don't do that. Many women self-prescribe herbs and supplements. These things are quite potent. So there are some supplements that I think are okay to take as a general rule, like magnesium, for example, and vitamin D. But if you want to get the correct dosage, you need to test. Test, don't guess. Many women treat the symptom rather than the cause. So always ask what's going on underneath. Always asking why. Many women expect a quick fix over a long-term sustainable solution. When we're thinking long-term, we are thinking for life, habits for life. Okay. And that requires some deep inner work, because this isn't just willpower being used here. This is a huge change, a huge shift. And many women don't manage their stress levels. That's hugely important. They don't think that it's a thing. They don't think that it's relevant. It is relevant. Stress doesn't help with anything. Elevated stress causes us to gain weight, to put weight on, because when we're in stress mode, we're in fight-flight mode. When we're in fight-flight mode, the body automatically thinks we need to be in survival. If we need to be in survival, we need to store. And that includes fat, right? Because you never know when you might need to live off your fat reserves. And then many women overlook this idea of gut health. Maybe they don't even know it exists. This idea of gut health. Poor gut health can lead to all sorts of problems. It certainly doesn't help with anxiety, really doesn't help with mood as well if your gut's not functioning great, because your gut is part of the enteric nervous system lives in the gut, which is linked to the vagus nerve, which tells your mind what sort of hormones it needs to dispense. Adrenaline or serotonin, right? And actually serotonin is 95% of serotonin comes from the gut. So it's really important to have great gut health when looking at menopausal symptoms. And then the thing that underlies all of this, especially when it comes to creating long-term, sustainable, healthy habits and mindset shifts, is mindset and emotions. Your emotions drive all of your habits and all of your behaviors. Your emotions drive what you pop into your mouth. Your emotions drive what you think. Your emotions drive what you say. Your emotions drive your decisions. So looking at your emotions, but looking at the helpful ones, the not so helpful ones, looking at where you can clear your emotional baggage. Having something like RTT is a great therapy to really help clear your emotional crap, so that you can move on and live your life free from those old beliefs, those limiting beliefs that are not helping you in any way, shape or form. This is about prioritizing you. And that's why I love the midlife transition, because yeah, it sucks. It really does. And you can feel very lonely and isolated and lost and confused, but there is an opportunity there. There's an opportunity to come out of the other side, especially if you ask for help. And I know that many women feel like they cannot ask for help. So So I think that's it for today. I hope you've enjoyed this little live, this episode, and my announcements. I know, Anna, you already know this, but I have a celebrity coming on my podcast. So I'm really excited about that. And the celebrity is, shall I announce it now? Yes, sod it, I'm going to announce it. So Meg Matthews is coming on my podcast as a guest, and she's the ex-wife of Noel Gallagher, if you didn't realise that. I didn't at first. But she has a company called Meg's Menopause, and she really suffered with her menopause, and she's on the bios as well. The body identicals. And she's got a really fascinating story. She's a great personality as well. She's used to be a socialite back in the 90s. And yeah, I'm super excited about getting her on and learning more about her as a person, learning more about her mindset, learning more about what led her to set up Meg's Menopause. And yeah, can't wait for that. So I'm recording that interview on next Monday. I'm not quite sure when it's going to be released, but I will probably prioritize it. So that's awesome. And then, as another little freebie for you, I have just created and recorded a free relaxation hypnosis. So I know that many of you struggle with taking that time out for yourselves. And so if you've got something on your phone that you can just do, you don't have to think about it, you just take yourself off, you don't have to go through a process, you don't have to do a visualization or a meditation, you can just pop your earphones in and be guided. That's actually really helpful, and it removes some of those barriers to entry with things like meditation. It's like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing, Not saying that meditation, that you shouldn't do it, because I do it and I've sort of overcome some of those things. But at first, or sometimes you just want someone to guide you. So I've created this free relaxation hypnosis. You can get it from bit.ly/relaxation hypnosis. That's bit.ly/relaxation hypnosis. But I'll pop the link up there or down there if you're on YouTube right now. All right. That's all from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I will see you next Monday. Lots of love. Bye.